Tonight, two individuals are in police custody after a terrifying shootout in Bexar that left one man dead and two others injured. The grandmother of the stabbing victim in Cannings laments the circumstances of his death, saying that the alleged assailant is a relative.
We have close family. My husband is the boy grandfather.
And Dr. Ibaldus Raymond is officially out, while Francisco Jean-Pierre makes an entrance in the Senate. The details of these stories and much more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Tuesday, the 30th of April, 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. We're on Flow, channel 117, also simulcast on KISS FM, on our website, www.caribbeanhottv.com, and of course on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Two individuals are in police custody following a shooting in Mark Bexar on Monday, the 29th of April at about 8 p.m. The shooting left one man dead and two others injured. Police who responded to the scene were informed that three males sustained gunshot wounds. Two of the victims were conveyed to a local medical facility for treatment, where they are currently admitted. The third victim, who was discovered with no apparent signs of life, was pronounced dead on the scene by an attending medical practitioner. He was later identified as Cheveux Dupree, a 24-year-old resident of Bexar. His aunt was still in shock on Tuesday, but said she loved her nephew very much.
He is a good guy. What can I say? He's a good guy, and what happened to him there last night is very hurting. Well, we all feel the pain, but I have no idea who did that. People just hear gunshots and we had to just run. But it's very painful, it's not nice at all. Seriously, I have no idea what caused that, but I just heard gunshots. And what I know, when I come from work, tell me my cousin, three of them, they find one on the floor dead, and the next one, they took him to the hospital. While we were there, I said they bring the next one in the hospital. I don't know, I really don't know. It's really hurting, I don't know what to do and what to say.
A post-mortem examination is scheduled for a subsequent date. Meanwhile, 24-year-old Kadim Joseph is dead following a stabbing in Canaries on Monday at about 6 p.m. The 24-year-old resident of Floraville, Canaries, sustained a stab wound during an altercation with another male. His grandmother, Gertrude Andrews, says the entire affair is heartbreaking, given that the alleged assailant is a relative.
Kadim was not a bad boy. Kadim was a loving boy. When you speak to Kadim, the only thing he said I was hard with friends. But when the thing happened, none of us wasn't there. I was at my home. It's people that called me and tell me they stabbed Kadim. I wasn't there to tell anybody what happened.
But you had any problems with anybody?
Yeah, they had a little problem, but I don't know what's going on. Nobody never come and tell us what's going on in the village. So I don't know. It's just, when they stab him, they still and call us, tell me Kadim passed away, they stabbed Kadim. But I don't know what's going on between the two of them.
But they told them were friends, you know?
We have close family. My husband is the boy grandfather. And my husband is Kadim grandfather too. So, close family. So it's nothing I can do, it's nothing I can say much. The mother is not there, I'm the only one that's there, so Kadim wasn't telling people what's going on. So it's by people's mouth I hear all kind of stories, so I don't know.
Family friend Alsa Stevens says the deceased was close friends with her daughter. She says they are still trying to wrap their hands around his passing.
I have known Kadim from small, and he and my daughter has been best of friends. And when I heard the news that Kadim was stabbed, I thought it was just he got stabbed, but when I heard that he's dead, it touched me very much, because I knew the kind of way my daughter would have felt knowing that her best friend is dead. So I do not know what the problem was. I do not know what went on, what went wrong. But I don't think it had to go down this way, especially Kadim and Christo. Their family, they've known each other for so long. And the family now is grieving two sides because of Kadim's side and Christo's side. And I just want to say that young men, when you all have anything between you all, please handle it differently. Do not use the scissors, do not use the knife, do not use the gun. Please handle it differently. It's better you all take your fists, but not the scissors, not the knife, not the gun. That's all I have to say.
A post-mortem examination is to be scheduled for a later date. As mentioned, one individual is in police custody in relation to the incident. In other news, after criticism on Monday for not following the Constitution, the President of the Senate is clearing the air. She says proper procedure has been followed and Dr. Eubaldas Raymond is no longer a senator as per the Constitution. More in this report from Solange Alfred.
The upper house of Parliament of St. Lucia is made up of 10 senators. However, in the Tuesday 30th April sitting of Senate, one senator was absent, the recently resigned Dr. Eubaldas Raymond. The former president of the Senate, Claudius Francis, had argued that the correct procedure had not been followed, as under the Constitution, the Prime Minister has no authority to accept the resignations of a senator or minister. Seeking to clear the air on the matter, President of the Senate, Janine Girardi McIntyre, stated that the resignation is official and a new senator would fill the position of Dr. Raymond.
We have a resignation letter. You resign to the President of the Senate, and that's why the letters come into this office. And then you decide whether you want to appoint a new senator or not, and clearly that has been decided, and so there'll be a new one this morning.
Meanwhile, McIntyre, who was brief with her responses, sought to clarify the extent of her authority.
Do you have the authority to refuse the appointment of a senator?
I would not anyway.
The President of the Senate affirmed that she had received correspondence of the resignation on April 30th, 2019. The newest member of Senate who now replaces Dr. Eubaldas Raymond is Francisco Japierre. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Thank you, Solange. Prime Minister Alan Chasney says the decision reached to accept the resignation of former Public Service Minister Dr. Eubaldas Raymond was not an easy one to make. The Prime Minister says the tendered resignation is being carried out in the correct manner.
Prime Minister Alan Chasney has finally cleared the air on the month-long drama surrounding now former Public Service Minister Dr. Eubaldas Raymond. The PM's word came one day after an official notice was made announcing Dr. Raymond's resignation following the infamous phone tapping scandal which he was involved in. Chasney said the decision to accept the former senator's resignation was not an easy one to make.
These situations are never easy, but at the end of the day, you have to go through what the facts are. I think that hopefully what you will give us credit for is that we did not run into a decision. We investigated all the facts. We've tried to be as transparent in the process as possible. Hopefully we've been successful in doing so. But at the end of the day, there has to be a point where you make a decision. Either you make the decision that you're going to forgive and you're going to move on, or you make a decision that it's better to part ways. And I think at this point, for Mr. Raymond, I think that he saw it that in his own personal interest, in the personal interest of the government and his own family and everyone else involved, that it was good for him to resign and to move on.
The PM said whilst he is very happy with the works that Dr. Raymond produced whilst in office, his resignation is for the good of all involved. Chasney said the resignation process was conducted properly.
I think it's in the best interest of all parties at this point for him, and he agreed and he tendered his resignation. So he resigned first of all as a minister, and then he sent in the proper documentation to resign as a senator. Yeah, he did send me a note. He did indicate that it was his intention to resign, but I never had received a letter from him that he was going to resign. But I think it was clearly his intention. But obviously, when we understood that this was much broader than just the situation between him and the young lady, we felt that it was necessary to do an investigation. And because they were members of my family, my father-in-law and my brother-in-law that were directors of WePay. Basically, I stepped aside and allowed the Attorney General to put together an investigation which is being done by several authorities in St. Lucia, independent of the Prime Minister's office.
The PM said his cabinet remains unfazed by the entire saga.
What impact has that had on your administration, sir, with the whole WePay?
Shasney said in the end, the decision was made based on the integrity of his government. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
UWP supporter and former Lambre candidate Francisco Japierre is now a newly sworn-in senator. His entry into the Senate comes on the heels of Dr. Raymond's resignation. More in this report from Rochelle Gonzalez.
It is business as usual in the House of Assembly as the void of Dr. Ubaldus Raymond has seemingly been filled. The decision to accept the resignation of the former senator was announced on Monday in an official press statement by Prime Minister Alan Shasney, moments before the Senate met to discuss the 2019-2020 appropriation bill, which was successfully passed in the House 2 weeks ago. The PM was asked who would be replacing Dr. Raymond on Tuesday morning. This is what he had to say.
Who do you have in mind to replace Dr. Raymond?
That hasn't been decided as yet.
Meanwhile, although a new public service minister is yet to be announced, a new senator has been named. Being sworn in on Tuesday was Francisco Japierre, who was the UWP's candidate for Lambre in the 2016 general elections. However, he lost his seat to Alva Baptist.
I, Francisco Japierre, do solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution, the laws of St. Lucia, and I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibility to the people of St. Lucia, I do affirm.
It was also announced that Senator Mary Isaac will be assuming Dr. Raymond's post as the leader of government business in the Senate. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Rochelle. Still to come, a pastor concerned about crime says it's still true that sparing the rod means spoiling the child. And the SLHDA expresses concerns about Riyadh's future. These stories and more coming up after the break.